Okay, I'll count the 1, 2, 3, and then clap.
I was
1.
ready.
What?
You said 1, 2, 3, and then clap. I was like, I was ready to go.
You always do that, dude.
I know, because I don't use. I take my counting down very seriously. When someone is going to count down, I'm going to clap it.
So go work for NASA. Let's do the show. Hello, and welcome to Into the Fold, a show where two best friends share their love of Lee Bardugou's Grishaverse chapter by chapter. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Juliana, and this week we are talking about Shadow and Bone chapters 13 and 14. Welcome, everyone.
Hello.
Yay,
we're so
very
tired.
Yes.
Stuff happens off the show. We get through it.
Yes. We're here, and that's what counts.
This is the thing that we do that helps us to deal with all of that.
Yeah.
Like, this is what we look forward to.
It's a good way for Jeff and I to just hang out. Also for us to get out of our own heads for a few minutes, and not what I like to call it is marinating in my own thoughts. I've learned that's not a good thing for me, so let me not do that for...
Right, because your brain is not a pork chop.
No, it's not. And sometimes the marinade and the spice mix is not a good one.
This metaphor is getting very, very deep.
Yes.
Maybe before it gets too deep, we should take care of some of our pod business.
Yes, it is time for the news from the front.
Woo! News.
Wow.
Happy?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, good.
Okay. So in our last episode, we had a riveting discussion about Camp Rock because, you know, that's what we do here on the podcast. But we
talk about what we want.
Yes, exactly what we want. And during that discussion, we did refer to Demi Lovato as a she, her. And we were informed by our listeners and are actually aware that Demi Lovato is non-binary and goes by they, them pronouns. We will say that during the time when this film was filmed, I do believe they were going by she, her pronouns, and Mitchie, the character, is a she, her. So I think that's where our confusion lies. But for anyone out there who was possibly offended or noted this, we apologize. And going forward, we recognize that Demi Lovato is non-binary and goes by they, them pronouns.
And thank you especially to the listener who was kind enough to reach out to us and inform us of our mistake.
Yes, thank you very much for that.
So this past Wednesday, from before we're recording this episode, we got to attend a really cool online seminar. It was an interview between a representative, I think, of Penn Faulkner University and Lee Bardugo. And she talked about the process specifically of adapting something that she had written for the screen and what the process of changing things up is like, a little bit of background information about not only the Netflix show, but also about some of the decisions that are made when you're writing a fantasy book like that. And since we were able to attend the event, we thought it would be fun if we recorded our first bonus episode.
Yeah.
So that we can kind of give you guys our thoughts about what people missed if they were unable to attend the seminar.
Yeah, so everyone stay tuned for that. It will be showing up on this feed. So as long as you're subscribed to our feed, you will get to see it here. And I can just say that from my perspective and from Jeff's perspective, it was an absolutely fabulous interview. And I know both of us have a lot to say about that. So tune into our bonus episode for that. Hooray!
Now, unfortunately, the interview was not entirely spoiler-free, so our thoughts on it are also not going to be spoiler-free. We try to keep it spoiler-free here on the show when we're discussing the book. We try to take it no further than the chapters we are discussing at the time. But this one kind of incorporates a lot of things that we have not gotten to yet.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, if you are going through the chapters with us, you will not be able to listen to our episode without hearing spoilers. But once you've caught up, the episode will still be there if you would like to go back.
Yes, and we'll say that just because the show includes the Six of Crows storyline, our little bonus will also include spoilers from the Six of Crows storyline. So if you're just reading along with us now, you might have a few books to go before you can listen to that episode. But we'll have fun recording that. And we also just wanted to note that September 30th, which is the day that this episode actually comes out, exciting, is International Podcast Day. So we just want to shout out our other Grishaverse podcast and also the other podcast that I am on and Jeff is also helping with, which is Puffcast. So yay!
This is the theme song. I'm not making this up. Go listen.
Yeah. So go ahead and listen.
We're not adding that to the playlist that we're building
because
I don't know where I can download it.
Yeah, and Mel has it and I have it, but it's not like a real like song. But
I'm not going to hear it on the... Well, obviously it's a real song, otherwise we wouldn't be able to hear it.
Yeah, but it's just a clip. It's like a 30-second long clip of music. It's nothing crazy or super exciting, but
we're not going to hear it on the radio.
No, you won't, but you can hear it on Puffcast. So go and head over to your favorite podcast player and search Puffcast and go listen to more of my docile not the correct word, more of my lovely tones over on that podcast.
How about we listen to you try to pronounce more words? I know I should talk because I've already made several mistakes. Not that anybody's heard them because I'm the editor, so I've cleverly taken them out. Ha ha ha. Speaking of hearing things, do you hear that?
I hear
something.
The voice.
I hear something.
Do you
Whose
hear
voice
the
is that?
people sing the song
Stop
of angry
doing
men?
that.
It is the singing
Stop.
of the people that will not be slaves again. When the beating of your heart matches the beating of the drum, there is a life.
Please stop.
When tomorrow comes.
Ha ha ha!
Yeah. That's the end anyway.
Good for you.
It's not a very complex song.
Great. You figure out the lyrics while we listen to the voice of the people. We got an email. We just got an email. We just got an email. I wonder who it's from. I'm kidding. It's from Danny. Our friend Danny, who writes us good things and is always so insightful.
Yes.
So Danny says, thank you for making me relive my mid-teen years by discussing the masterpiece that is Camp Rock.
Yes.
I haven't watched it for years, but I listened to the soundtrack a few months ago for the first time in ages, and I somehow remembered all the words? And Juliana, you're right. The second High School Musical is absolutely the best one.
It is.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Someone brought the soundtrack to a friend's housewarming back when we could still have those, and we ended up with a room full of people aged 25 to 35 just screaming, what about us? What about everything we've been through?
Everything we've been through? What about trust?
There you go. Thank you for that. I did not know the melody. Then we talked for half an hour about how I Don't Dance is about Chad being bi and into Ryan. It was a fun time.
That is a huge vibe of that song.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. Go back and watch. Ryan is definitely somewhere on the queer spectrum, and Chad definitely is like really into him during that song.
Put a pin in that thought that you just had about Ryan because here comes Danny's closing arguments here. Anyway, DCOM's, Disney Channel Original Movies, were my childhood. And can we talk about how every one of them is absolutely finding who you are and being true to yourself and how that's extremely gay coded?
Mm-hmm.
Like, This Is Me from Camp Rock is a coming out song. And it's kind of fitting that Demi Lovato has since come out as queer and non-binary.
Yeah.
So what was that thing you were saying about Ryan?
I said that Ryan is somewhere on the queer spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely, after you watch I Don't Dance, definitely Chad is on that spectrum as well, too. And I would say even from Get Your Head in the Game, I would put Chad on that spectrum. You know?
Why?
Because I don't know, I can just see it in his eyes. I Don't Dance is definitely, there's something going on between those two and I Don't Dance.
Okay, I was just wondering about, like, specifically out of Get Your Head in the Game, because I didn't get any vibes from that. And that's basically, when Danny here refers to queer coding, apparently, I just, to be sure, I looked it up. Apparently, queer coding is the subtextual coding of a character in media as queer.
Yeah.
So, like, think about, I mean, they mentioned Disney. There's been one very, very recently that a lot of people have been talking about. Have you seen Luca?
Yes, and I was very mad.
A lot of people are talking about Luca.
Yes, I was very mad that they did not end up in some kind of either mutual recognizing that they had feelings for each other or relationship of some kind of sort. I understand that both those kids in that movie are technically pretty young, but they can identify their feelings for each other, though.
I mean, a lot of people have feelings about whether or not it's even appropriate to have those kinds of films with characters that young. Some people are uncomfortable with it. I get that.
They can, like, hold hands.
Well, they do, kind of.
I think they do
Not
in one
exactly
moment,
that, but there's... See, okay, here's my thoughts on that.
Okay,
if that's the intention going in, and you inform the actors portraying the roles, this is what it is meant to portray, and the actors are on board with that, then great. Which is why I think, as the director says, all interpretations are valid. So if that's how you're interpreting things like that, and if that's how you're interpreting Disney Channel original movies, if that's what it means to you, especially, I think if it offers you some kind of comfort, some kind of support, if it offers you some encouragement, if it makes you feel empowered, then great. Definitely interpret it that way and let it be your strength.
Yes.
Go for it. It's just, I don't think you could make the argument that that's what they intended when they made it. It could be, it couldn't be.
Especially being a 2000s movie, I feel like a lot of these decisions were made kind of out of naivete and just making the decisions as they were. Okay, well, let's get off that, Jeff, and let's get back onto some other news from the Voice of the People. So thank you, Danny, for that lovely email. We enjoyed it, and I'm very glad that you agree with me that the second High School Musical really is the banger of all the High School Musicals, because it is.
So here's what I want to know.
Yes, Jeff.
I want to know, how is the Grisha order tally doing? What's going on with that? I saw some things.
Yes, so we added 3 new Grisha this week, and we have added 2 new Etherealki. We added Bookish Beck and Claire Loves Books, and we added 1 Corporalki, who is Rev Series. And then we still have 4 Materialki. So we have 9 Etherealki, 9 Corporalki, and 4 Materialki. So my Materialki,
I still can't help but feel like
no one wants to be a Materialki.
No, I can't help but feel like the Materialki are the tortoises, and there's just 2 hairs up there. One of them is exploding hearts, and one of them is summoning fire or whatever, and they're going to wear themselves out eventually, and the Materialki is just going to come sailing through. Oh, excuse me!
We're the Hufflepuffs of this situation, Jeff.
Hi!
We are reliable and hardworking, and we might be the quiet ones sometimes, but we are the ones who are going to outlast everyone.
Also badgers.
Because badgers are great.
Badgers are great.
Badgers are great. Okay.
You know what else we got?
Reviews. Reviews are great too, Jeff. Would you like to read us a review that we got?
Yeah. I want to do that because we got a review on Apple Podcasts, and oh boy, I am going to try to pronounce this name. I feel like I've seen this name before, but I can't think where. Okay, it is spelled Riikoizawa01. You can see it if you look up our show on Apple Podcasts under the reviews. Riikoizawa01. I think I got it.
Yeah.
So here's what they said. I am not normally a podcast person, but I love this show. It is so much fun. I love how the hosts bounce off of each other and how they make it so much fun to listen to. I just absolutely love it, and the story Shadow and Bone. And then there's like 5 heart emojis.
Yay, thank you. Thank you so much
they
for
love
that.
Us.
Yay.
You know what? I love us too. I like their taste because I like not just like I like me. I mean, you know how I feel about you.
You know how I feel about you too, Jeff.
Yeah, exactly. And I enjoy us. And like the dynamic of our friendship, and the only thing that could make it better is putting microphones in front of our faces, and that's what we did. And now you know everything you need to know about making a podcast. So if that's something you're thinking of doing, that's all you need.
You need 1 Juliana, 1 Jeff, 2 microphones,
and a can-do attitude.
Yes, sirree, Bob.
Now you slipped something else in here. It's a screenshot. What is the screenshot I'm looking at?
Yes, so we actually got 2 shout outs on Instagram from people we don't know. And Jeff, as you know, I love getting shout outs from people that neither of us know who they are, because it's nice to get shout outs from our friends, but sometimes you're like, are you just doing that because you're my friend?
I'm never like that. I trust my friends.
I trust them, but I know that, like, sometimes we promote things that our friends do, and we're not like 100% behind them. We're like 90% behind them, but not like 100%. But
see, again, speak for yourself there, bud.
I don't like anything my friends
I have
do.
creative friends who make crappy stuff.
And you tell them that?
No, because they don't ask.
Oh.
If they ask, I tell them that. But otherwise, and I don't do it in a way I'm like, your stuff sucks. I don't say that. I do it the Tim Gunn way. Like, I ask, they're like, so what do you think? And I ask them questions designed to get them to think about, yeah, exactly. I use the "so talk to me" method that Tim Gunn uses on Project Runway. I ask them questions designed to get them to address things that I think might be a concern. And honestly, if they can come up with a good rationale for it, then fine. They've clearly thought it through, and they've made what they've made. But anyway, you were talking about total strangers giving us praise on the internet. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so we have 2 total strangers giving us praise on the internet. The first one comes from Ida Aspervikin. And
love it.
She goes as Books Read Before Bed on Instagram, and she gave us a lovely shout out and said, I accidentally stumbled upon this podcast about the Grishaverse, and I'm not sorry about it. And to that I say, thank you very much. We're not sorry about it either.
I want to hear the story. Like, we were found by accident.
Yes, if you would like to send us in an email, Iva, send it to intothefoldpod@gmail.com. We'd love to read your origin story of finding us. So
no pressure. You don't have to, but for the record, I would be very interested to know if anybody ever listens to our show and they found it by accident. I want to know what led them to our show.
Yeah, were you doing a handstand on the ground and someone was like, look up Grishaverse podcast, and you were like, never, and then you did, and you were like, wow, what a fabulous podcast.
Please tell me that narrative is going to come. Speak truth to power, Juliana. Speak truth to power. That narrative needs to exist.
If I manifest it, it shall come to me, Jeff. So our second our second shout out on Instagram came from Dune Asenjo, and they said, I really love your podcast. You have an amazing capacity to view every detail and analyze the scenes. And to that we say thank you very much. And we love having feedback from these people that we have yet to meet, but are happy to meet.
Definitely. And thank you for saying nice things about our analysis, because we both feel, we've talked about this on and off the show, we feel like we have a tendency to just go off and get lost, and then we pare it down to the essentials. That's what you call editing. And then what you have left is what you call analysis.
Or just never-ending rants and tangents. One of the two.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Jeff, that is all that we have for our feedback section for this week. So shall we move on into the chapter discussions?
Mm-hmm.
From this point forward, there will be spoilers for chapters 13 and 14 of Shadow and Bone and everything that came before it. So if you don't want that, stop. Don't... You want to know what I was going to say, Jeff?
How do you spoil something that came before it? That makes no earthly sense.
Because, I don't know, there are weird people out there who just read one chapter in the middle of a book. There are people who read books from the back. I'm like, why do you read books from the back? How do you have any context for what happened?
Excuse me, those books you're reading from the back are called mangas, and they're printed the other way around.
No,
it's not their fault.
No, they read like American books from the back. They read the last chapter first. I'm like, why would you do that? Why? Why would you do that?
I don't know. The Bible says that one day the last will be first. Maybe they think today's that day.
Fine, whatever.
So I'll make you a deal. How about I summarize the chapter and then we talk about it? Does that sound like a good deal?
Yeah, that sounds great to me. Do I get a cookie too?
You can have all the cookies you want because last I checked, this is America.
America.
This is America. This is America.
Okay, Jeff, what happens in chapter 13?
Okay, I'm going to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
So Alina's health and wellness are finally starting to improve because she has learned how to use her power. And she's also gaining a healthy level of self-confidence and friends because she is hanging out with the other summoners. It's adorable. They get to go to the banya. It's fun. I love it. Now, on the other hand, Baghra is still doing this thing where she's really unimpressed with Alina's progress, but Bodkin, on the other hand, gives Alina a knife of Grisha steel, and he explains to her that Grisha steel is earned, so this is a really important gift that she gets. After that, Alina learns from Genya about the Winter Fete, which is a big, extravagant ball that celebrates the winter solstice. Sounds like a lot of fun. That leads into a discussion of the queen and king's sons. There are two princes, and what's curious is you don't learn their names, but you do find out that the heir to the throne, the older son, drinks a lot and won't find a wife, and the younger boy might be a bastard, and everyone calls him Sobachka, which is fun to say. And then at the end of the chapter, Alina's having a training session with Baghra. The Darkling crashes it and tells them that his men are tracking Moritzova's stag and she should have it soon. Then the Darkling and Alina flirt circles around each other for a while, they kiss, and Alina can't stop thinking about it. Probably nothing.
Probably nothing. Yeah, I don't think that's going...
probably not important.
Yeah, definitely not going anywhere until maybe the next chapter.
So finally, we've broken out of this pattern that we've been in the last couple of chapters, where it starts off with, everything is on fire and I'm dying inside, and then at the end of the chapter it's just, well, now it's finally quiet, here are my thoughts, uh-oh, now I'm thinking about Mal.
Yes, and I'm very excited that Alina is feeling better because she has kind of low-key banished Mal from her thoughts, and at least tried to move... Well, she's trying to move on from him. She is realizing that her undying loyalty and wanting to find him again and just pining over him in her head and not accepting the fact that she is somewhere new was holding her back, as we learned in chapter 12. So she is trying to move on. Why? What are your thoughts on that, Jeff?
Well, I applaud her for trying to move on, and I agree with what you said. It's good for her that she's trying to move on. She's trying to focus on what she can control. That is healthy. But I still say that the only way she's going to be able to fully move on from her attachment to the only person in the world that she has ever given a shit about is if she can confront him and get closure. So she's started the process. It seems to be working, but she's still going to have to talk to him.
I wonder when that will happen.
If she finds out he died and she never gets to talk to him, then she's never going to get it.
That's true.
No, she's never gonna get it. Never gonna get it. Woo, woo, woo,
woo! Okay, well, you have to add that to the playlist, Jeff.
And now it's time for a breakdown. Never gonna get it, never gonna get it. Never gonna get it, never gonna get it. Never gonna get it, never gonna get it. Never gonna get it. Woo, 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 woo!
That was lovely, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Love it.
Now, did you mention the rumors?
Yes.
Or did I mention the rumor? There were rumors going on.
We were talking about the rumors.
The rumors about why Alina has not been able to use her power up to now. What was your favorite?
Oh God, what the heck?
Didn't Zoya pass one around about it being like the Fjerdans were poisoning her with a combination of something? And what is an extract of diamonds? First of all, how do you extract anything from diamonds, and how do you get that into a person?
Yeah, the Darkling was healing her with the extract of diamonds. That was what it was.
Oh,
the Fjerdans were poisoning her, and the Darkling was healing her with his like charcoal eyes and the extract of diamonds. But
there you go.
I don't know what an extract of diamonds is. Maybe if you boil it down and then bring it to a simmer and then let it kind of...
Oh my gosh, that's what White Diamonds by Elizabeth Taylor is.
Oh my god!
That's it.
Wow, okay, Jeff, this is a
breakthrough. It makes you smell like rose oil and wet newspapers. You people.
Yeah, but I really did enjoy a lot of the rumors, and I think it's kind of fun to think of a lot of the other rumors that were going around, because I'm sure they were just as insane as this extract of diamonds rumor that's going around, because as we know, these little Grishas, they like to gossip. They like to spread...
Little gossiping Grisha. Yeah.
Yeah. They be some gossiping Grishas.
They do. But I mean, come on. I've been thinking about it. They gotta let off some steam somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're conscripted into military training from the time they are young, and as far as we know, there's no end in sight, and war sucks.
Yeah, and you're kind of stuck with the same. It doesn't seem like there are many Grisha who are in the Little Palace. Not like a huge amount. More than Hogwarts, I would say, but not really that of a normal high school or something like that. Well, a normal high school, I'm thinking of my high school that had 200 kids in each grade. So I have no idea where you stand with that, Jeff. But it doesn't seem like they have 200 kids in each, like, level or anything.
Nope.
So it seems as though all these people are stuck together in a kind of small-ish space. And what are you going to do about people when you're doing that? You're going to gossip about them. We're going to talk about what this person is doing and what that person is doing. And you know what? I would do the same thing. I would not be innocent of not gossiping. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Anybody who says they don't do that is lying.
Lies.
Anybody who says that does it, but never without saying this goes no further than you and I, or something similar.
Or they say, well, bless her heart. They use one of those terms that technically speaking in their head wipes them clean of gossiping, quote unquote, but just makes it so they're just saying something.
One of my favorite parts of this chapter is when Botkin gives Alina the knife.
Yes, well, he is one of your favorite characters.
He doesn't strike me as the type who is in the habit of giving out presents.
No.
And he's not just giving her the knife because it's like, hey, you're going to go out there and be the Sun Summoner. You might need a knife. That's not a knife. This is a knife.
He's not.
He's giving her this knife because Grisha Steel is earned.
Now, Jeff, can I ask you a favor?
So this is a huge rite of passage.
May I ask you a favor?
What?
Can you do a Australian Santa Botkin impression for me? I would like you to combine those three things all at once. I would like, he's delivering Alina this knife as Santa, but he's Australian, but he's also Botkin, so go for it. I would like to hear what your interpretation of that is, because I'm sure it's going to be wild, and I'd like to just be here for it.
Okay, apologies in advance to people from the fine nation of Australia. I do not mean you any harm in doing this, but my friend has requested I do a thing, and I am now obliged to do it.
I requested it.
Ho, 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 everybody. I heard there was a Sun Summoner here who's been a real good girl, so I'm gonna give her this knife just in case it never comes in handy. Chippy chip, churra!
I feel like that was pretty spot on. I liked that. That was very good.
If you are from Australia and that was in any way offensive, do not hesitate to call me out on it. But as I said, I mean you no harm.
I would absolutely love if we have an Australian listener or two who wants to try their impression of Australian Botkin Santa, because if you really have an Australian accent, please go for it, because it would be just like amazing if you did that. So
thank you.
I'm requesting, along with the many other things that I've already requested on this show, I'm now requesting that.
There we go. She talks in this chapter about being strong and liking the feeling of power. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I get it.
Yeah, I definitely am someone who, as you know, Jeff, is like pretty physically active. And I'm not really a person who's like, wow, I just look so good. I'm here for feeling strong and feeling fit. And that's when I feel my most confident, is when I'm like, yeah, I can go out and I can run a marathon, or wow, look at me, I can bench press this much. And I just feel very strong and powerful. And I can definitely see Alina realizing that this is a way she can feel, because she's never felt this before, because her power, suppressing her power, has just drained the living crap out of her for all these years. And now she is eating, she's sleeping, she is having some kind of joy in her life for like almost the first time, which is amazing. And she's actually getting stronger, and we see throughout this chapter too that she's noting the progress that she's making.
Yeah. And you know what? It's okay to feel yourself.
Yeah, I think it's good
for
her.
It is okay to feel yourself. If you look at yourself in the mirror one day, and maybe it's your outfit, maybe it's your hair, maybe you notice that the exercise you've been getting and the dieting you've been doing is paying off, whatever it is okay to look at yourself once in a while and go, I look really good, dude. I hope people do that for themselves.
You know, Jeff and I are looking really good today, listeners, because today is Robecast, and
welcome to Robecast, a show where we are in our robes because we are exhausted, dude.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm
Oh
probably
my
going to wear this
gosh.
robe the rest of the day because this is a silk robe. It's not real silk, but fake imitation silk. But
I can't
it's
wear
really
my robe
nice.
the rest of the day because I have to go shopping for a wedding.
You know,
I don't have to go shopping for a wedding, but I'm going to because anytime I have a formal event to go to, instead of just using the formal wear I have, I go out and collect more because I'm one of those people who feels like every occasion requires an outfit.
See, I'm the person who has like 3 formal outfits and I wear them to every single event. And I'll let you know, Jeff, as I told you earlier, this robe is from a wedding. So if you go out and you decide you need an opulent robe, I'd say that that's wedding appropriate because I wore this to the preparations of a wedding as a bridesmaid, but not actually at the actual wedding. But that's beside the point. It was part of the wedding thing. But I'm sure you could I'm sure you could work a silk robe, Jeff. No one would even question you.
The category is opulence. 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 You own everything. Everything is yours. Paris is Burning. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It is an important part of our history. And it is my favorite documentary.
Love it. Love it. I haven't seen it, Jeff, but I will go and watch it.
You know what? I'm gonna screen share it on here. We're gonna watch it together.
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
Are we doing that right now or are we going to take a break later?
We're gonna do it later. We're obviously not doing it now. We're in the middle of the show.
Okay. Back to what we were talking about. Okay, so opulence is real.
Opulence is real. Alina is gaining more confidence. She's feeling her power. And yet, at the same time, here's the trade-off. I didn't catch it until this read-through of this chapter. But she gets to this point where she doesn't want to talk to Jenya about Mal. And I realize something.
Yeah.
In the beginning, she was burying her power because of her feelings for Mal. But now that her power has been unleashed and she thinks Mal has either died or given up on her possibly, now she's doing the opposite. She is burying Mal for her power instead. It's the same thing, but she has exchanged these two addictions.
That's true. Yeah, she has kind of a seesaw relationship with Mal and her power. It seems like when one is high, the other must be low.
Speaking of messed up relationships, what's up with the Darkling and Baghra?
Yeah, we still don't know the dynamic, like where the dynamic started between the two of these people, but there's definitely something happening between the two of them.
It's especially the part where I can't get a read on whether or not Baghra really wants Alina to have an amplifier or not, because at first she was like, no, and now she's like, give her an amplifier and see what she can do, now that Alina has shown that she can actually use her power without an amplifier. Maybe that's the difference. But they're bickering back and forth about whether or not this stag has to be the thing, and the Darkling says, you don't give me orders anymore, old woman. And I'm like,
okay, I'm gonna need a better Darkling impression than that, Jeff. You don't give me orders anymore, old woman.
You don't give me orders anymore, old woman.
There we go. That's more like it.
Fan clap.
Yes, and you also made the note of what the heck is Baghra's power? Because we don't
He says
really
he thinks
know.
She used to be a tide maker.
I'm just going to leave this here, though, Jeff. There seems to be a shadow in Baghra's words.
Uh-huh.
We'll leave that there. Get back to that later. But one of the other things that's big that happens in this chapter is we get a makeout session. Woohoo!
No.
Between the Darkling and Alina.
No. We get a kiss. A kiss does not a makeout session make.
Oh,
Trust
okay.
me.
Fine.
Believe me, I've been through enough of them to know.
Wow.
Now we have to put Dancing Through Life from Wicked on the list.
Jeff is really adding to the playlist this week. Usually it's me.
Yeah,
but
at this point, I am just trying to see how many songs I can come up with.
At this point, it's a challenge.
I'm just going to do that today.
Okay, well, Jeff is going to maximize the amount of playlist songs that he can add today. And
But about this kiss, you said what?
I liked it.
No.
I'm also the person who who when reading Twilight through the first time as a teenager was like so into Edward Cullen and wanted to be Bella
Ditto.
Swan so bad.
Ditto. But you know what? The world was different. We were different. We were younger, and we didn't understand that some relationship dynamics are just not okay.
Oh, I'm not saying that this relationship is okay, but I'm saying that the Darkling has this kind of inhuman level of attraction that you can almost feel through the page, and you don't want to like him.
Especially now that we have Ben Barnes as a visual aid, that don't hurt none.
Yes, you don't want to like him, and you don't want to be attracted to him, but that you are.
Yeah, that's how cult leaders do cult leader things, so yeah. Oh, also, it's the fact that everything with him is calculated and exactly planned. And, I mean, he breaks into this lesson with Baghra so that he can show her up and stick up for her in a way that he knows Baghra is not going to, because she clearly never did it for him. And then he takes her aside, he reassures her, and he kisses her, literally seals it with a kiss.
Mwah.
So it isn't just that it's a kiss, it's how he kisses her, when he kisses her, and everything he does to manipulate the situation leading up to the kiss. That's why I say no.
See, this is why the Darkling, and I'm not saying that he's a good person in any capacity. He is an awful being. I was going to say human being, but I'm not sure he qualifies as a human being, because he is just so well written in the way, and I've talked about this before, that he is almost inhuman on the page, and it's something that doesn't translate well into the show because Ben Barnes is obviously a human being, but within the text of the book, he's just so inhuman, and I just love the way that he's written as a character. I don't like his morals and what he does, but as a character and how he's written, love it. Here for it.
Fair enough. And, you know, it reminds me of something. This isn't a spoiler because it's probably in interviews all over the place, but this was a point that came up during the seminar of Leigh Bardugo's that we attended the other night. Is that one of the people in the listening audience asked a question about whether she ships certain characters together, and she brings up how many people ship the Darkling and Alina over Alina and Mal, and she points out, as she has before, when she wrote the Darkling, she didn't intend for everybody to latch onto the Darkling as, like, a hot character, and that he and Alina should be together. I don't recall, but I think she might have even said she actually intended the opposite. I won't swear to that. I will swear to she made it clear she did not mean for the Darkling to be a character that people fall in love with and think is a good option for a relationship. She did not intend that.
I will say he's not a good option for a relationship, but I will also say, how could you write that character and not think that people would find him sexy?
She might have. And she also pointed out something that I have said from the beginning. They call him the Darkling. It's not a positive sounding name. He's practically a supervillain.
See, that's why I like that name too, because it makes him it gives him even more of that edge of being inhuman, because he presents as a human being, but he's, from the things that he says and does, you're just like, something is wrong. Something is awry. And I love that. It's great.
Righto. We're going to carry some of that over. No, I think we need to just carry it over into the next chapter, because this next chapter is a very, very fine piece of pound cake. It's heavy.
Yes.
We will get through it as quickly as possible, but some stuff happens in here.
Yes. And it's time for a summary. Okay, so chapter 14. Everyone is getting ready for the winter fete. Party time! And the Darkling is up north, probably not doing anything shady at all. Jang and Alina do makeover and start to show a real friendship, including being vulnerable and honest about the terrible men who are being terrible. like the king. And even the Darkling, who didn't tell Alina he was back from his business trip. Oh no. And who doesn't protect Jenya from the king. Jenya dresses Alina for the party, and she is looking fine and calls Zoya a the queen is being a drama queen. And at the winter fete, Alina makes pretty lights with the help of the fabricators, and the wealthy elite Robkin are starting to believe in her. And the Darkling is just so pleased and enamored that he drags Alina off into a private room to fool around a little bit. Woohoo! And then he suddenly dumps her for a meeting he just told her was less important about being at, and then he's gone. The soldiers who are tracking words of a stag show up, and Mal is with them. Oh no! Alina's thrilled for this reunion, but Mal's not very happy. They are both hurt and start fighting. Alina thinks Mal is judging her for finally being happy and having someone to pay attention to her. And Mal thinks that Alina gave up everyone and everything about her life because she's willing to be the Darkling's property. Ooh, and then he storms off.
See? They are equally mad at each other for basically two sides of the exact same thing, and it's not either of their fault. Because we know Alina has been writing him letters and he hasn't been answering them, so you know what?
What?
I'd be willing to bet he's been writing her letters that she hasn't been getting either. We don't have any receipts for that up to this point, but I'd be willing to bet that blocking communication goes two ways.
I'm agree with you, sure. Jeff. I will agree with you, Jeff, but as we all know, and anyone who is a listener of this show to more than the last 10 seconds will know that I don't like Mal, and I will not be giving that up as of right now, and I will be dying on this hill. I will give Jeff valid points that he is making, and this is a valid point, but we haven't really gotten to the point in the books yet where I really start hating him a lot. So, listeners, stay tuned, because this is just the beginning, and Jeff is making some very valid points as to why Mal and Alina are very equal in this situation, but he gets worse. Okay, that's so all I will say.
Now, we didn't really talk about this when we were trying to sum up the chapter, but Jenya mentions to Alina that the queen has the fabricators working overtime. On what?
In my head,
the fabricators work for the Darkling. What could the queen possibly need them to do?
In my head, I feel like they are doing things that the queen would think fabricators do, because they are like fabric, is in the name, and they're making her clothing, and they're designing things for her castle, and they're designing pieces of artwork for her wall, and designing her extravagant gowns. And she's like, ooh, get me some fabricators. I'd like some new fabric-made clothing fabricators. And I have a feeling that's probably what it is. And the Darkling is probably lending them to her specifically for the fate.
See, now I'm picturing a store. I can see it now. A craft store that sells like bulletproof yards of fabric called Joanne's Fabricators.
Yeah. Yes. I think that yes.
Oh my god.
They are always running a 40% off
one.
coupon.
Yeah, a 40% off coupon that you can never use because it's always expired by the time you finally get to go to Joanne's Fabricators, or you don't have enough money to spend in order to use the 40% off coupon.
Exactly. Well, that's what happens when you let a queen run a shop. She makes everything overpriced. But that's what happens in my head. I don't know if you had a different headcanon, Jeff, but I feel like whatever it was probably just got replaced by Joanne's Fabricators.
I don't know.
You don't know.
Now that I've come up with Joanne's Fabricators, that has to be it.
That is
canon. So now I'm just going to support your headcanon.
Good. I'm happy. I'm happy to have invented a nice business venture for the queen to go on.
Alina is finally having fun playing dress up with Jenya. They sneak into the queen's closet while she's not there and try on her It's adorable.
Yeah, it's definitely a big 180 from where she stood just a few chapters ago, where Jenya had to really, really petition for and convince her to do anything minor. And then when Jenya comes in this chapter, she asks her if she's going to do her hair and her makeup, and Jenya says yes, and Alina's like, ooh, goody! And is just so excited to have her makeup and everything and her hair done by Jenya. And I mean, honestly, I would be too. That sounds great. If she wants to come over to my place and do my hair anytime, just don't even let me know. Just come up to my door and knock. I'm here.
Honestly, same. And sooner the better, because I have a wedding to go to tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll just be here. I'm not going to a wedding, but I live on Main Street in the town that I live on. So
that narrows it down.
Yeah.
Because every city in America doesn't have a main street.
Yeah. Well, I will say that the main street in my town is like actually legitimately a main street in the town, and there's a lot of traffic on that street. So if Jenny wants to come over...
How can it be a main street? You live in Massachusetts.
But M-A-I-N-E.
Spelling jokes are fun.
But I will go outside.
And then Jenya gets to make a power move while they're doing makeovers and dressing up for the party.
Yes, we go.
And she has one of my favorite Jenya quotes, because she has so many. But this is a good one. When Zoya catches them getting ready and the look on her face, she is gagged. She is absolutely gagged. And Alina's like, what was up with that? And Jenya says, I wanted to see the look on that his face when she saw you in the Darkling's colors. That's a boss move.
That is a boss move.
That is a boss move.
Jenya is such an underrated person, I would say, by the other Grisha. I don't think they really respect her in any capacity for how powerful she can be and just how petty she can be. Because that in itself, pettiness, is definitely a superpower. Especially when it comes to living in a tiny little palace with everyone else. And, you definitely want to be the person who left the note on the fridge that says, to whoever stole my hummus, I loathe you.
All right. So we are at the winter fete now.
Yeah.
And you know what?
What?
You mentioned that Grisha Christmas sounds fun. And it does. But,
yes.
I mean... How many times do we see this? How many times do we see snobby, rich, royal people who are governing a country that has a huge amount of debt, no money, and yet they're throwing extravagant parties? Your country is broke, you idiots, and you don't know how to fix it because you're broke idiots.
I mean, this hits really close to home, Jeff. Just given the state of the globe and the United States right now. I feel like this is a personal attack.
I mean, you could argue this is about a lot of people. You could say Lee Bardugo did this because our country does it. You could say that this country is based on Russia and Russia does it. You could say this about a lot of places in the world. Just in general, a lot of people don't know how to do the right thing with their money.
Yeah.
But just, it's tradition. They're holding fast to everything that they've always done a certain way, especially this, because this makes them feel really good about themselves, getting all dressed up. And who are they flaunting it for? Because they don't invite anybody from other countries to this. They don't invite poor people to this so they can show off that they're better than them. Who are they doing this for?
The rich people.
They already know that they're rich. Why do they need to... You know what? Never mind. That's
just how it works,
We'll get
Jeff.
lost in that one.
That's just how it works. But we do have a moment of Alina in this wishing that Ma was here to see her.
Wouldn't it be nice?
Wouldn't it be nice if Ma was here? And to that I say, hold for the text, please.
Wouldn't it be nice if Mal was at the party and I'm still adding more songs? Haha, that's
okay,
like 10.
Jeff found another one. I know, you're adding a lot of songs. But we'll wait and see, because we might see...
Before Mal shows up, she has to make the pretty lights, though.
Yeah, we must do pretty lights. And
we have to make light brights.
Light brights.
Bright. Wish I may, wish I might. You can make it with light bright.
Oh, was that the actual thing? I don't remember that.
That was the jingle for Light Bright, yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that. I had a Light Bright.
YouTube.
Oh, I'll have to look at it later, because I had a Light Bright, but I don't remember that at all. But that's okay. I just wanted to take a quick moment, though, Jeff, and say I would like to shout out the chunky ass gloves from the TV show that are like so freaking chunky. And I don't understand, because the way that they're described in the book, they seem like small little agile gloves with teeny little mirrors in them. And they're what she uses in this showing and what she uses with Botkin when she's practicing, and he decides that it's not good for him to destroy her face before the party. But
I like to think that the costume designer and the prop master for Shadow and Bone got together and said, you know what, let's just float this past Lee and see how she feels about it. So they just designed these chunky gloves, and then they show her the sketches, and she just falls in love with the sketch and says, oh, this looks like fun. You guys have to make me a pair of these.
I don't know if you've ever worked in an industrial level kitchen, Jeff, but these literally look like cut gloves, the gloves that you wear to keep your hands from being cut by a knife. And
I have worn gloves like that in restaurant jobs before.
Yeah, they look like kind of inflated cut gloves. And
you're right.
I was just like, is she going to chop up some chicken? What's happening here? But I just wanted to shout out those gloves because we are going to see a demonstration from Alina and the Darkling using those gloves during the Winter Feet. And
yay.
Yes, it's very pretty and yay. And the Darkling.
And now suddenly everybody is on the team of, oh, the Sun Summoner. Hooray. I knew it all along when y'all didn't believe before this. So sit down at your fancy rich people party.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the purpose of this Winter Fete, I think specifically, is to get the rich, influential people on the side of Alina and the Sun Summoner.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, now you've just provided a very good reason for having this party. Not a good reason for always having this party, but for this one in particular, now we have a reason. Like, they could have written it that way. They could have said, we're going to bring back this super awesome, like, coming out party for you because it's an occasion.
I beat you. Here comes
now
the
Beatles
sun.
are on the list and it's alright.
Little darling.
We talked about how these rich people are all acting like they believed in Alina all along. You know who's up front with her and who gets to come back that we are glad to see is Fedyor.
I love Fedyor.
Precious little Fedyor, baby. We missed him, and he is at least up front with Alina. He's like, look, I didn't believe that you were the Sun Summoner, but when we were in that carriage together and we were grilling you, I had a job to do, and I did it, so I'm sorry. Which is just one more reason to love him. He is upfront with her about doing the job he was given.
I'd date him. Hot take, Jeff. I'd date Fedyor.
I'd date him. If I, you know what? She goes off with the Darkling in a minute to like fondle and around with him for a while. She gone with Fedyor.
I mean, I couldn't agree more than that. He's a heartrender too, so.
Officially, we are declaring it on this podcast. Fedyor can get it.
He can get whatever he wants. He is the boy of this.
Oh, no doubt. Okay, pop quiz. On the subject of Fedyor.
Yeah.
Can he get it?
Yes, he can.
There you go.
I'm trying to figure out how to work that into Bob the Builder. His name doesn't have has too many. Bob the Builder he doesn't have enough. The syllables don't work out. Oh well, we tried.
So a moment ago, I mentioned that the Darkling intentionally busted in on a lesson with Baghra so that he could make her look bad, make himself look good in front of Alina, and then he kissed her.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just did this demonstration together. He drags her off. He tells her, I'm supposed to be at a big important meeting right now about this stag that I've been promising you, but I'm here with you instead because you're important to me. They start making out and stuff.
Yeah.
And stuff. They don't go all the way. I don't know where the bases are anymore, but they are doing stuff. And then it gets interrupted because he suddenly goes to this meeting that he just said wasn't as important as her.
Yeah. He has this internal calling that just moves him away from kissing and making out with and slamming his hips violently up against the door with her. Yeah, and slamming his hips violently.
No, you know what it was? His lace front wig that he put on for the party. His lace front is coming undone, and he needs to go get some spirit gum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's probably.
Don't you hate that when you are just fumbling around with your partner, suddenly your lace front pops up, and you're like, "Oh, where's my spirit gum?"
Oh no!
I know, I hate that.
Happens to me all the time, Jeff. But I definitely, again, kind of turned on by this scene. I was like, oh wow, the Jack thing is just like, wow. And I could see
I feel
where
like I'm learning more about you than I am about these characters, to be honest.
I always like the troubled character in anything. Like Kylo Ren is my favorite. I like Loki, love Loki.
Then you might not. If you love Adam Driver, since you love Kylo, so I'm assuming you love Adam Driver. Yes,
I love Adam Driver, and yes, he will be Snape in the Harry Potter.
You might want
shows.
to avoid the House of Gucci movie that is coming out. I will not. I intend to see it many times because that cast is unbelievable.
Lady Gaga.
Gaga. I will go see I will go see everything that she does. I will not watch A Star Is Born again because I was emotionally affected by it in a way I wasn't prepared for, and I don't think I could do it again.
No,
I will go see House of Gucci.
I'll watch House of Gucci. I understand that Adam Driver I understand that he's an actor. And I also respect him in that too, because he's not the nicest guy in a lot of the movies that he's in. And I think it's interesting to see him play a different variety of characters because he just seems to have a good emotional range to play different characters.
Me, or would he not have made a decent Darkling had he been British, since they obviously casted people who are British?
You know what?
Or at least part British.
Yes, he would have. You know what? I will stand behind this, Jeff. I did not think of it before this very moment, which I don't know how that happened, but I would absolutely love and adore if Adam Driver was the Darkling, because I think he could do a British accent. I think he would be up for the challenge. I think that if something bad should happen to Ben Barnes, which I hope nothing does, because I do love Ben Barnes as well, that... Same. Adam Driver would be ready to step up to the plate and take on his best British accent to be the long-haired Darkling. Because, you can't make a man cut his hair if he doesn't want to.
I suddenly turned into my favorite character from Letterkenny. His name is Glenn.
Oh, hi, Glenn.
Okay, I'm going to send you clips of Glenn. I seem to remember there was a little character in the Bible, and his name was Samson, and he had glorious hair. His hair was snatched for days, okay? And then he meets this girl who convinces him to get a haircut, and at first he didn't want to do it, but you know how girls can be sometimes. Y'all know how y'all can be sometimes. So he cuts his hair, and then suddenly all his strength is gone. Wow. He just can't.
Wow.
I either sound like Glenn or, what's her name? Nancy, not Nancy Drew, the lawyer on TV. God, what is her name?
Oh, I don't know.
Nancy Grace.
Oh, Nancy Grace. Oh, I love Nancy Grace. She is just...
Grace.
What a sweetheart. Now I'm kind of invested in doing the Southern accent, Jeff. I feel like I'm kind of okay at it.
Here's an accent for you. We are so far off topic. We need to talk about this relationship between Mal and Alina because, girlfriend, it is messed up.
Oh, my.
It is messed up, and they are face to face, so they are going to have to deal with it. Well, they have no choice now.
Well, ain't that nuttier than a squirrel turd? I have a few Southern things that I learned when I was living in Richmond, Virginia that I just keep in my back pocket once in a while, and I just like to break out.
Ooh,
that
honey,
one is
honey.
Well, bless his heart.
Okay.
Bless your heart, little Jeff.
My brain is broken now. It is turned to soup because you said that. Don't repeat it.
I have left this poor little boy in shambles over here. Bless his poor little heart.
Okay, so Mal and Alina, he is not pleased to see her, and that hurts her more.
Yeah.
And then they just keep talking in circles.
Yeah, we can definitely see that there's something that's happening behind the scenes between these two as to why he's not getting her letters and there's no communication that has been happening. We can tell that it's not fully on the two of them. We don't know what that could be quite yet, but there's definitely another force at play in this issue between the two of them. And
now I will say this. The way he says, "Look at you, he's all over you," referring to how her appearance makes it look like he is just completely owning everything about her, and she responds by saying, "Mal, he owns all of us." Remember that thing I said about cults earlier?
Yeah, and how the Darkling
Yeah,
would make
this
a good cult
sounds
leader.
like something that sounds like something that could have been an actual quote from one of the members of the Manson family. All these chapters where it's been, where is he? Is he okay? Why isn't he answering my letters? I'm starting to get over him. Now they're face to face. And I mean, it's understandable because it would probably be unrealistic to expect them to just deal with their issues calmly and rationally because
Mhm.
to him it looks a certain way. To her, it looks the same way, just from the other side. But this is a perfect example of why you have to be able to see other people's point of view, even if it is vastly different from yours. You
Yeah.
have to just. It's really, and it's hard to approach things with an open mind when you get pulled out of the army and put into a different army, and people are telling you don't trust anybody, oh, but except for me, and you're trying to learn your powers, and it's a lot. So trying to keep an open mind about things is probably kind of hard for her when she's probably puzzled about what to keep an open mind about.
Yes. And I would say to that, it's time for some couples therapy for Mal and Alina because I feel as though they could really benefit from some talking with a non-biased, non-invested person in their life. And no, the Darkling is not going to be doing this couples therapy. That would be bad.
Bagra. They need Bagra. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you exactly why they need Bagra. I know we had the conversation about how Bagra's kind of like, I said she was like the guidance counselor. You said she was like the vice principal.
Yeah, I get big vice
Is that
principal
what we said?
energy from her. See,
VP, I think she's like the guidance counselor. She's like the kind of guidance counselors that you see on TV these days, as opposed to, because like the guidance counselors you saw on TV back in, like, I'm thinking of 90s TV, they were the touchy-feely weird guys with curly hair who wore sweaters and wanted to talk about your feelings. Just, how are you feeling? Access your emotion. And like they had puppets for things and it was weird. Like, when we start watching Bob's Burgers together, you'll see what I mean, because the guidance counselor at the kids' school in Bob's Burgers is the kind of person I'm talking about. But nowadays, in teen dramas and sitcoms, you see guidance counselors who have a very realistic, down-to-earth, no-nonsense, I'm not going to bullshit you approach to talking to kids. Because I think there's probably been a shift in child psychology to, this is how you communicate with young people. You have to make sure they know that you're not going to mince words with them. If you need to call them on something, do it.
Yeah, well, I think
Bagra, she has no motivation to tell either of them what they want to hear. She clearly tells people what they need to hear regardless of the consequences, and it's what she's good at.
Yeah, that's true. I would agree then, Jeff.
She should do it.
I can give her the secondary title of guidance counselor under her also being the vice president. So she's just one smart lady. She has a lot of degrees, quite a lot of degrees. But I would just like to say, as we conclude this chapter, I would like to say that my biggest problem with the Mal-Alina relationship is going to remain, and still is as of this point, their lack of communication, which I understand is aided by something else that's going on that we have not learned about or heard about quite yet. But this will be a sticking point for me going forward. Don't worry, listeners. As I mentioned earlier, it's going to get worse, and it won't be the fault of anyone but either of them.
Indeed. Look forward to it.
Yes, look forward to more lack of communication. And I will also just note that from Alina's perspective, in my own defense, Mal does appear very aggressive.
He does.
And
that's fair.
Yeah. So I can see why, as possibly someone reading this through for the first time, or just being Juliana, would think that Mal is kind of low-key more in the wrong because he's being very aggressive about things. But that is all the thoughts that I have for this chapter, Jeff. Do you have any other closing thoughts for chapter 14?
This would have been a really good opportunity for somebody. I don't even know necessarily who. Maybe the apparat, maybe Zoya, maybe somebody. This would have been a really good opportunity for somebody to overhear the conflict between Mal and Alina and then
Ooh.
try to use it for something.
Maybe we should put a pin in that one, Jeff. What do you think?
Because we don't see somebody doing that, but that doesn't mean somebody didn't do that.
Let's put a pin in that one, shall we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are we gonna play for our fun segment?
We will be playing Deep Cut or Made Up. Well, I will give you a scenario or chapter or reading or something from the book, and you will tell me if it's just a deep cut from the book or if I've made it up. And it's only going to be in regards to chapters that we have already read. So there will be no spoilers here, as long as you've read all the chapters that we've already read.
All right.
Okay. In the beginning of the book, when Mal goes to wake Alina up to let her know that he has a snack and is going to go Zoya, he throws a stone into the tent to wake her up. Is that a deep cut or made up?
The fact that he threw the stone?
Yeah. Is that how he wakes her up? He throws a stone into the tent.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is how he wakes her up.
So is it so you're saying it's a deep cut?
I mean, if that's how you're defining deep cut, then yeah, sure.
Well, deep cut, I mean like random weird thing that happens. So, Jeff, that is made up. He taps.
What?
He taps on the tent. I was still wide awake when I heard
that?
it. Oh, it says, I was still wide awake when I heard it. Tap, tap, pause, tap, then again. Tap, tap, pause, tap. That's how he wakes her up.
Wow.
See, is your confidence level draining from you, Jeff? Do you think that you can identify all these deep cuts?
No, I thought that he threw the stone. I thought I remembered that.
Okay. So, when Jenya is doing Alina's makeup for the first time, she uses 2 different flower petals to do Alina's makeup. Is that a deep cut or made up?
2 different flower petals?
2 different flower petals, Jeff.
Oh, these are really specific. I'm going to say that one is true.
Yes, it's true, yes. She uses 2 different petals to change the colors of Alina's cheeks and lips. Yes. Okay, so you got that one right. Okay, so this one I know and I don't have to go in searching for. So our last one, Jeff. Deep cut or made up. The Darkling cuts Alina to test her in the tent when he's trying to call to her powers on her right arm. Is that a deep cut or made up?
That one's made up.
That is made up, yes, because we actually don't get any indication in the book as to which arm he actually cuts her on. It doesn't say.
So it might be made up, but we don't know.
Yes, there's actually... I read through that portion of the book like 5 times because I was like, it must say which arm it's on. And obviously in the show, we see visually which arm he cuts, and I actually don't know which one it is. I want to say it's her right arm from the way that they're positioned in that shot, but I honestly can't remember. But it actually does not say exactly which arm he cuts her on. So, huzzah!
Huzzah!
Yay. Thank you for playing, Jeff.
Very clever.
I was proud of myself, okay? I was like, Jeff may not get all of these.
So last week, we asked our listeners, without looking it up, what do you think the word Sobachka means? And we didn't translate this earlier when we brought it up, but they refer to the younger of the 2 princes as Sobachka, and it actually means puppy. And I personally look forward to finding out exactly why they saddled him with that nickname.
Yes.
A lot of people did get that one right, so congratulations to Impossibility Curved, Chanel the Queen, and Grishaverse fans for correctly answering the question. Now, we got some really creative incorrect answers, and I want to talk about these. Marjolaine said, yummy cake. That one, I thought, was a very, very strong answer. Because I thought that was probably the answer that I would have given if I didn't know what the word meant.
Yeah, it does sound like a pastry.
Yeah. Like, come to my house. I will make you some delicious sobachka.
Yeah, and
you can't actually say that to a Rovkin person because then they're going to think that you're making puppy for dinner,
yeah,
and you
don't
shouldn't
want
do that.
We did actually get an answer that's kind of along those same lines from Exogeology Girl, and they said dumpling, and which again, it's
I
like
laughed so hard at that.
I think that's
I said,
cute.
you know what? From now on, that in my headcanon is going to be like an alternate translation for Sobachka. Like if you're studying old liturgical Ravkin, then the translation of Sobachka is actually dumpling, but then it got changed to now it means puppy.
Yes. And then what was our final answer, Jeff?
Knee Pads said that it was the Grisha version of normal people or muggle.
Mm-hmm.
That intrigued me because there actually is a Ravkin word for people who don't have Grisha power.
Mm-hmm.
That one, I believe, is Otskozatia.
Yes, I believe so.
It's a long way of saying other, but it's a word that Grisha use. It's not like a Ravkin universal term, apparently. It's a word that Grisha used to speak of non-Grisha people.
Yes. But thank you, everyone, who answered that question. And Jeff, do you have a question for us for next week?
So for next week's question, we're going to give the listeners a little bit of a preview of what's coming. In chapters 15 and 16, someone is going to try to get Alina to leave the palace. Who is it?
Ooh.
Without looking it up, it could be a lot of people. For a lot of different reasons. She has encountered several people who are concerned about her safety and who have various reasons to want her to not be there anymore.
Agreed, Jeff.
Stuff happens.
And how can people let us know what their answer is?
If you want to let us know your answers to the question, you can tweet at us, you can email us at intothefoldpod@gmail.com, or you can DM us your answer on Instagram. You know, you can DM us on Twitter as well. It's just we have a lot more activity on our Instagram.
Yeah.
You know what you can do? You can hire a plane, ride it in the sky, whatever you gotta do. You can come tap on one of our windows in Morse code what the answer is. I don't recommend that one because you would need our address and I'm not giving mine out.
Also, I don't speak Morse code or understand Morse code either, so your answer truly will be going into an abyss of nothing. So,
yep.
Which is my brain. But okay, well, thank you everyone for listening. And next time, as we said earlier, we will be reading chapters 15 and 16 of Shadow and Bone. So if you would like to get ahead and go and read those chapters before the next episode, which will come out in 2 weeks, that would be a great idea. And if you would like to listen to the rest of the podcast, if you're a new listener, welcome. If you just haven't listened to any of the other episodes, well, my friends, you can listen to us on all places where pods are cast. And you can also listen to the podcast on YouTube, where we are Into the Fold podcast.
And if you want to keep up with us, if you want to hear announcements about what we're doing, get in on our trivia, weigh in on things that came up during the episode and things that are coming up in future episodes, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram, both at Into the Fold Pod.
And if you have any in-depth explanations, or if you have a voice recording of you as Santa Australian Botkin, you can email it to intothefoldpod@gmail.com.
And if you want to do us a kindness like our new friend Riko Izawa01 did at the top of the show, you can leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, and then we can share it on the show with all of our listeners.
And if you really like to do us a solid, the best way to get people to listen to this show is for you, the listeners, to tell other people about it, because the best way podcasts are spread is by word of mouth. And we've had some great people that we did shout out at the top of the episode that have been doing that on their social media. And we love and appreciate all of you so much. So keep it up. We love you to little bits and pieces and everything in between. And until next time.
Adia, I'll see you in the fold now. The music doesn't match, 'cause this is the part
Hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello.
Clearly now my waves have formed. Da, 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 da,
I thought
da.
I was the one who was doing stupid songs.
What?
I was the one who was in charge of stupid songs, Jeff.
You're in charge of them. That doesn't mean I can't do them.
Tomorrow to add on to the episode.
You're going to record a what?
A snippet.
A snippet?
A snippet.
Is that anything like a... Is that like a German snippet? Because Melanie is... Okay, snippet.
It's a combination of a snippet and a schnitzel.
Okay.
Snippet.
Okay, then I guess for Melanie it would have to be a vegan snippet. Yeah, hang on, I gotta take a drink.
Okay.
Hydration, important. We just talked about that.
Yes.
News!
Oh yeah, I forgot that you're doing that.
No, I'm not doing that.
I think you should though.
I'm not gonna.
Why not? You already did it.
Because we already have the song.
Yeah, but it's more fun if you do the news part afterwards, and we can always change it.
Alright, fine. Alright, I'm gonna lean back. So on more positive... Words are hard.
Genya and Alina do makeovers and start a show. Yeah. I will also say that, Jeff, look at you, look at me. There's never any us, can't you see? All we can become, we could shine like the stars if we believe that two stars are brighter than one.
I don't know what you're singing, so I'm just gonna do some dance moves.
Yeah. Look at us. Who are you? Who I really wanna know. Who are you? Never was a cloudy day.
I said cut.
I had to finish the lyric, Jeff.
You didn't.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Cut.